Hi, my friends. Today I want to present you a new story. Enjoy watching it. The office hummed with a dull, unchanging rhythm. Phones rang, keyboards clacked, and muffled conversations floated in the air, yet my corner remained unnoticed. I typed out a meeting schedule mechanically, the mundane task a far cry from my degree in IT, building character, my father called it, assigning me the role of company secretary at Chambers Technologies. Humility, he believed, was a prerequisite for success. Sophia Ked Harvey, my brother and the company's operations manager. His voice cut through the office noise like a blade. Yes? I asked, keeping my tone steady. The agenda for tomorrow's meeting. He raised a brow, exuding impatience. I sent it this morning, I replied, meeting his gaze. Trying to keep up, he muttered, walking off without another word. This was my world, overlooked, undervalued, and underestimated, but they didn't know, beneath the guise of routine tasks, I was crafting something extraordinary. Over weeks of late nights and quiet determination, I had built an AI system, one capable of analyzing operations, predicting inefficiencies, and transforming customer service. I named it Zofia, a quiet rebellion against my invisibility. If the world wouldn't see me, at least my work would speak for itself. That evening, the office emptied, leaving me alone with my glowing screen. I ran simulations, each result validating my efforts. Sophia's algorithms showed a 62% improvement in response time, a potential game changer. Still here? The voice startled me. I turned to find my father, Michael Chambers, standing in the doorway. Yes, I said quickly, minimizing my work. He stepped inside, glancing around. Working overtime won't make you indispensable. I hesitated, then decided to speak up. I've been developing something, a project I think could revolutionize operations here. He frowned, clearly unimpressed. What kind of project? An AI system, I began, trying to explain. But his expression hardened. Sophia, this company doesn't need your experiments, he interrupted. Focus on your job and stop wasting time. The words stung, but I bit back my retort. He turned and left, dismissing me as he always did. As soon as the door closed, I opened a different screen, a patent application I'd been working on for weeks. My father might dismiss me, but others wouldn't. With a deep breath, I hit submit. The invisible innovator had taken her first step toward being seen. The morning sun streamed through the floor-to-ceiling windows of Chambers Technologies, but its warmth did little to thaw the tension gripping the office. I stood in the conference room, clutching a folder containing a presentation of my AI project. My heart pounded, not from nerves, but from the anticipation of finally proving myself. Sophia, we don't have all day, Harvey sneered, his tone as sharp as his tailored suit. I ignored him and looked at my father, seated at the head of the table, his expression indifferent. I've been working on a project that could transform our operations. It's an AI system designed to optimize. Not now, Sophia, my father interrupted, waving me off like an annoying fly. But it's ready, I insisted, if you just give me 5 minutes. Not now, his voice thundered, silencing the room. Embarrassment burned my cheeks as the board members exchanged glances, some smirking, others looking away uncomfortably. Harvey leaned back in his chair, clearly enjoying my humiliation. Let's move on to real business, my father continued, his dismissive tone cut deeper than his words. I stepped back, gripping the folder tightly. As the meeting droned on, I realized the truth. No matter how hard I worked, they would never see me as more than a secretary. After the meeting, I returned to my desk, my mind a storm of anger and despair. Hours passed in a blur until, just before closing time, my father called me into his office. Sophia, he began coldly, this isn't working. What isn't working? I asked, my voice trembling. You've been here long enough to realize this role isn't for you, he said. I think it's time you move on. Move on? I repeated, stunned. You're firing me? He hesitated, then nodded. You need to find something better suited to your capabilities. I couldn't speak. The dismissal wasn't just professional, it was personal, a declaration of his belief that I was worthless. Gathering my belongings, I walked out of the building for what I thought would be the last time. My hands shook as I dialed a number I'd memorized weeks ago. Hello? Came the crisp voice on the other end. This is Sophia Chambers, I said, my voice steady, fighting the turmoil within. I'd like to discuss my proposal with Apple. The breaking point had come, and I was ready to rise from the wreckage. The sound of my phone buzzing on the kitchen counter jolted me out of my thoughts. It had been 2 weeks since I'd walked out of Chambers Technologies, but the sting of my father's words still lingered. Apple's response to my proposal had been swift and encouraging, almost too good to believe, but today was the day I would finally meet their team. I grabbed the phone, my hands trembling slightly. "Hello, Miss Chambers. This is Linda from Apple's AI division. We've reviewed your proposal, and the board is extremely impressed. Are you available to come to Cupertino tomorrow morning for a formal presentation?" "Yes, absolutely," I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. "Excellent. A car will pick you up at 6 a.m. We'll take care of the travel arrangements." "Thank you," I said, my heart pounding as I hung up. Excitement and nerves battled for dominance. I had spent years being underestimated, dismissed as just a secretary. Now, I had a chance to prove everyone wrong. The following morning, I found myself in Apple's sleek headquarters, seated at the head of a long glass conference table. Opposite me sat a panel of executives, their expressions a mix of curiosity and anticipation. "Miss Chambers," one of them began, "your AI system, Zofia, is nothing short of revolutionary. Could you walk us through its core functionalities?" I nodded and launched into my presentation. My voice gained confidence with each slide, detailing how the system could identify inefficiencies, predict customer needs, and automate complex workflows. When I finished, there was a moment of silence. Then, the head of the panel spoke. "We believe Zofia has immense potential. We'd like to acquire it for $170 million, with you leading our AI innovation team." The words hung in the air, surreal and life-changing. I barely managed to whisper, "Thank you," as I signed the preliminary paperwork. The room buzzed with congratulations, yet a tiny voice in the back of my mind whispered, "What happens when they find out?" At home, the email from Apple came late at night. Its subject line, a simple but powerful statement, "Proposal approved, next steps." My heart raced as I read through their plan to acquire a controlling stake in Chambers Technologies, with me as the appointed CEO of the joint venture. It was everything I had ever dreamed of, a chance to transform my family's company and finally earn their respect. But it wasn't without a cost. The following morning, I met with Apple's legal team in their sleek boardroom. As the details of the acquisition were finalized, I felt a mix of exhilaration and trepidation. The contract gave me unprecedented authority, but the thought of confronting my father and brother made my stomach churn. "Miss Chambers," the lead attorney said, snapping me out of my thoughts, "you'll need to inform your family about this development. It's customary to give them the courtesy of a direct conversation before we proceed with the public announcement." I nodded, forcing a smile. "Of course, I'll handle it." That evening, I stood in the familiar lobby of Chambers Technologies, the weight of the moment pressing down on me. My father and Harvey were waiting in the conference room, their expressions a mix of confusion and impatience. "Sophia, what's this about?" my father asked, his tone brusque. I took a deep breath. "Apple has decided to partner with me on a joint venture. They're requiring a majority stake in Chambers Technologies, and I'll be leading the company as CEO." Harvey laughed bitterly. "This is a joke, right? Apple partnering with you?" "It's not a joke," I replied, my voice steady. "They recognized the value in my AI system, something neither of you ever did." My father's face turned pale. "You went behind my back." "You forced me to," I shot back. "You dismissed me as a glorified secretary, but I've proven you wrong." The silence that followed was deafening. Finally, my father spoke, his voice trembling with a mix of anger and guilt. "You have no idea what you've done." "Yes, I do," I said firmly, feeling a newfound strength surge through me. "I've saved this company whether you like it or not." As I left the room, their stunned expression stayed with me. The boardroom was silent, save for the faint hum of the projector displaying the new organizational structure. I stood at the head of the table, flanked by Apple executives and attorneys, facing my father, Harvey, and the rest of the Chambers Technologies leadership team. The tension was palpable, like the charged air before a thunderstorm. "Let's get one thing straight," I began, my voice calm but firm. "This isn't a hostile takeover, it's a lifeline. Without this deal, Chambers Technologies would collapse within the year." Harvey scoffed, leaning back in his chair. "And you think you're the one to save it? Don't make me laugh, Sophia. You're a secretary playing CEO." I met his gaze, unflinching. "I'm the one who built the Zofia protocol. I'm the one Apple trusted with a $170 million investment. And I'm the one standing here with the power to rebuild this company, or let it sink. My father, who had been uncharacteristically quiet, finally spoke. Sophia, you've made your point, but do you really think tearing apart your family is worth it? You tore it apart the moment you decided I was worthless, I shot back. You dismissed me without a second thought. This is me taking back what I deserved all along. As I finished speaking, the door burst open. A security officer entered, holding a USB drive. Miss Chambers, we found this in Mr. Harvey's office, he said, handing it to me. What is this? I asked, my brow furrowing. Harvey's face turned ashen. It's nothing, just private documents, he protested. Ignoring him, I plugged the drive into the projector. The room filled with gasps as files detailing embezzlement and financial mismanagement flashed across the screen. You were siphoning company funds, I said, my voice a mix of shock and fury. You were the one dragging this company down, not me. My father's expression shifted from disbelief to rage. Harvey, is this true? Harvey stammered, his confidence crumbling. I was trying to keep the company afloat by stealing. I interrupted. You betrayed not just the company, but the employees who rely on us. The board members murmured among themselves, their trust in Harvey visibly eroding. Effective immediately, I declared, Harvey Chambers is removed from all leadership roles. And as for you, father, I paused, my voice softening, I'll offer you a position as an advisor, but the days of you calling the shots are over. My father nodded, his shoulders slumping under the weight of defeat. I deserve that, he admitted quietly. As I walked out of the boardroom, the weight of years of neglect and doubt lifted from my shoulders. The company wasn't just mine to lead, it was mine to redefine. The following morning, headlines declared the deal a success. Chambers Technologies, under the Zofia Protocol, became a symbol of innovation and resilience. And as I stood in my new office overlooking the city, I realized this wasn't just a victory for the company, it was a victory for me. I had finally claimed the respect I had always deserved, and no one could take it away. Friends, what do you think of this story? Write your opinion in the comments. Would you like more stories? Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button so you don't miss any videos. See you tomorrow.